Hello, online pipe community. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today we've got Morsels for Mental Manducation, and yes, we are just about to wrap up C.S. Lewis' Mere Christianity. If I'm correct, we're on the next to last chapter today. Today, what am I smoking? This is another Ron Smith, Ron's Freehands, Danish-style egg with some nice plateau, beautiful stem. It is an incredible smoker. The bowl is actually, that's a pretty deep bowl. In it, some more of Ahab's Comfort. Thank you, Gary. And we will talk about that, as I promised, tomorrow. In winding down the book, you may have noticed C.S. Lewis has begun to frequently address some objections to Christianity, at least Christianity as he has presented it, which is the Orthodox, little o, Orthodox view. And this chapter is no exception to that. Today he asks, well, if Christianity is true, then why aren't all Christians obviously nicer than all non-Christians? It's an objection that I've heard. Some of you who are Christians may have heard it. Some of you who are not may have it. Well, here is Lewis' response in a nutshell. That question is actually twofold in some ways in its aspects, one of which is perfectly reasonable and the other is not. The reasonable side of that is, if Christianity is true, then why aren't all Christians really, really super nice? And the reasonable part of that is, well, we've been talking about how God's end goal with us, if we allow him, is perfection. But we've also pointed out that isn't going to happen in this lifetime, and there's never been any claim or promise made that it will. But our behavior should be better than it was, and it should be improving. If someone claims to follow Christ and is not a better person than he was before he made that claim, I would question the claim. If someone claims to follow Christ and is not improving in some way relative to his moral and outward behavior, I would question the claim. We have to be cautious here because we can't judge the heart. Only God knows the heart. But Jesus himself told us that we can judge a tree by its fruit. We as Christians need to be exceedingly sensitive to that. That we should be improving in ways that we wouldn't normally do on our own. Otherwise, there's no supernatural agent in it. And if we're not, then maybe we haven't really surrendered that control the way we think we have. And I'm saying we very deliberately there, because I have a very difficult time surrendering control. Now, the other aspect of this question, Lewis points out, and I agree with him entirely, is not reasonable. And that's the sense that why isn't every Christian nicer than every non-Christian? Well, in Scripture, God doesn't promise to make us perfect or to make us better than everyone else on the planet. If you look at it, Christianity is a continuous process. What Christians call the process of sanctification is a lifelong thing. Sanctification is a fancy word for make something holy. Set it aside and make it holy. Well, that's a process that takes us our entire lives to do in the entirety of our person. And some of us start at different places. In fact, Lewis points out, people who are pretty nice to begin with very often fail to see their need for Christ at all. This misses the point that Jesus did not come, die, and come back to life again in order to make you or me a nicer person. He came to mend the broken relationship between us and God, and no matter how nice you are to start off with, that relationship is broken, and without him, you don't have that relationship fixed. So to that point, a lot of people who are really nice say, well, what do I need this for? I'm already a good person. I'm a nice person. Well, but your relationship with God is still broken. But those people start out at a nicer place. Very often, it's people who are broken, who acknowledge that they have dependencies, addictions, horrible personal behavior. It's those people who turn to God and say, I need help, fix me. Now, those people are starting down here, and the nice person's starting up here. God doesn't just, and that person is all of a sudden nicer than the nice person. It's a process. It takes a while. It takes growth. The real question to ask is, if you find a Christian, someone who claims to be a Christian who isn't a perfectly nice person, did you know them before? Has there been a change in their life? Do you know what they were like? Again, it's the fruit thing. If you did, and they're not any nicer than they were before, then yeah, I would question their claim. He uses an analogy that I think is pretty apt, especially for those of us who are pipe smokers and often have stained, like I do, teeth. I forget the brand that he was using, but in our market, Crest has an entire 3D whitening system, toothpastes, mouthwashes, gels, whatever, to make your teeth white. Now, if I start using that, and my wife, who has never smoked anything in her life, starts using that at the same time, my teeth are never going to be as white as hers. Ever, ever, ever. Does that make Crest's claims false? No, it doesn't. My teeth will be whiter than they were, or are, if I used it. Would her teeth probably be whiter than they are? Yes, they would be. That's the thing. Hers are always going to be, even if she never uses the product, her teeth are going to be whiter than mine. They just are. My teeth are, I have been told, permanently stained. I can live with that, but they would get better. Christianity is no different. Just because one person never achieves the same niceness level of someone else does not mean that the claim of Christianity is false. It doesn't disprove it in the slightest. Note here, Lewis is not, he's already done his positive apologetic for Christianity. And here he is not claiming that this proves Christianity is true by any means, that just because someone is improving or is getting nicer, that Christianity therefore must be true. He's working the opposite as a defense. So those are just two of the things that he points out, we don't all start at the same starting place, and we're not going to get to perfection in this lifetime. To expect it is really not reasonable, because that's not what Christianity claims. It doesn't claim to make us perfect instantly, or even before we die. That's good smoke. Give that some thought. If you're a Christian, look at your own life. I've had to. And ask yourself, are you improving in a way that you yourself can't account for, or that goes against your own nature? We should be. And with that, light something you like. Maybe do it in a really pretty Danish pipe. Enjoy your afternoon.